Hello, it's author Deborah Parmley again, back with another March of the Writers. This one is for day 22, and it's actually March the 22nd, so for this particular one, I'm not catching up. This is today's. The topic is competitive drive, writing competitions, experiences. All right, so this is actually a topic I have a lot to say on because my career was launched by a contest, but prior to that, I was entering contests. Way back in college, I entered a contest, the English Honor Society, Lambda Iota Tau, had writing competitions, and I entered, and I was the first student in the history of Marywood College to win first place in two categories, fiction and creative nonfiction, which is memoir. What my piece was memoir. They both won first place and went on to the national level. So I had some success with contests even back in college. And then I was in the Poetry Society of Tennessee and won some contests at different events they put on. Then I went to the Ozark Creative Writers Weekend in Arkansas and won some contests there for poetry and short stories. So contests were good things for me, and I enjoyed entering them. Certificates, though, only go so far, so after a while, I just wasn't as enthused about contests. Uh, I wanted a little bit more. So at the Ozark event one year, Dusty Richards, who was a well-known Western historical novelist, he challenged everyone there. If you've not written your first novel and you write a Western and enter it in my contest, if you win, the prize winner will have a full read by my agent. Well, this was prior to indie publishing, so this was too good to pass up. And dares attract me. I don't know why. I mean, I asked my husband out on a $5 bet. Here we are, married 44 years later. So I was not one to shy away from a dare and a challenge. So I entered. And the following year, he was no longer with his agent, so that was no longer available. But he sat with me and went over the manuscript and said, what, here I needed to change this and change that. So he saw my first draft, basically. And so I made those fixes, and then I entered it in another contest. My friend Susan, who we started out writing books at the same time, we were critique partners together. Um, we both went to the RT convention in St. Louis, and it was our first RT convention, Romantic Times Book Lovers Convention. And there was a contest. Bobby Smith, previously known as the Queen of the Western Romance, put on, and I entered my book in that contest because as I wrote the story, Gone to Texas, A Desperate Journey, it's had both titles before, um, I realized I was writing a romance, not just a Western. It's a combination of the two. So I entered it in her contest and I won third place. And then she sat down with me and she said, Deborah, your story starts in chapter 3. Well, it was my first novel, and I didn't realize prior to that I write my way into a novel. And often they will start in a later chapter because I'm writing my way in. So I fixed it, and then I entered it into another contest put on by RT Magazine and Dorchester Publishing called the American Title II. And it finaled. And then 10 of us were competing for one publishing contract, which the stories had already been vetted because Dorchester was going to publish one of us, and they pretty much were saying, hey, any of these are publishable. The public must vote online. And every month, 2 more got kicked off the island. So I made it up to the second round. After the second round, I got kicked off. And at the time, I got an agent who then sold my book. So literally, contests launched my publishing career. That contest did, and the prior contest too, because the writing practice is a practice where you learn and grow. The more you write, the more experiences you have with your book. And so I do recommend writing competitions. But you might want to ask yourself, what is the purpose of entering this? Is it a certificate? That can be fine. It can be a great ego boost if you need that. But you've got to be cautious with your ego when you're a writer, because if you don't have enough of it, you won't put yourself out there. But too much of it, and you'll be insufferable to be in the room with. So managing ego is a very important thing. And at the end of the day, I had decided by the time I entered Bobby Smith's contest and Dusty's and then the American title, that I wanted more than a certificate if I was going to enter a contest. I wanted some sort of something. A critique would be good. Publication, even better. Um, None of them offered money. I'm not sure if they do now. I don't pay much attention to contests these days because I have been published for so long and I publish so many books and do them myself now that it doesn't really serve a purpose for me to enter contests right now. So, but it's a good way to start. It's a good way to get in. Get in. It was a good experience. I wouldn't have traded any of them. Actually, I've learned from every single one, and so I encourage you, if you're a writer, to check out the local contests and say, hey, does my book fit this? Uh, and if it does, what is the benefit to entering? You just might move your career along a little faster. Have a beautiful day.